here at Vintage Blues Guitars, and I just wanted to take a minute to talk about this interesting and unusual grand concert size guitar. I call it a grand concert because that's what they called them in the catalogs back in the day, and the grand concert guitar measured 14 and 3/4 inches across at the lower bout. So this is a rather large size body, and because of that it gives it a nice big boomy sound. And additionally, we also like to tune these down. You can hear it's tuned down like a full step, and it just gives it that deeper, darker tone. They're fun for blues, fun for slide as well. We believe this was made, even though it's marked Sterling and a blue label on the inside, we believe this to be a product of the Oscar Schmidt factory in Jersey City, New Jersey, and it's probably in the early part of the 20th century. I would say probably 1910-ish to 1915 time period. The label sort of comes from that type label that they used inside. It sort of comes from that period. But we kind of know it has some of the hallmarks of a Schmidt guitar, and especially the earlier ones. The first clue for the earlier Schmidt guitars would be that the back braces are kind of like we call them like knife blade braces. They're very thin, and in the 20s they were thicker, and in the 30s even got thicker still. So it has those real thin knife blade type braces. But the hallmarks to be a Schmidt guitar, if you can see the curvature of the back up through the heel, you can see how it just makes that arc like that, and it's just a bowed back, and that's just the way Schmidt made their guitars. The other thing that a lot of people know is you reach inside and you can feel the square kerfing. That's a dead giveaway for the most part for a Schmidt guitar as well. Another smaller detail for these Schmidt guitars, you would think they would use a round head screw for their tuners, to hold the tuners on, but they're actually little flathead screws on there, and the Schmidt factory used those for whatever reason. They probably bought them by the millions and they were cheap. So yeah, it's not a cheap guitar though. I mean, it has some nice features to it. It's a middle grade guitar. It's not a high-end guitar, but it's not one of the cheapest catalog guitars either. Let's talk about the materials. So you have your nice red spruce top, and it is set off by white celluloid and a very nice form of inlaid colored marquetry that you don't typically see in these guitars. I don't know if it's because it's earlier or they just happen to have that in the shop at the time, but it's an unusual type of marquetry inlay. It goes around the sound hole, around the outer edge of the top, and then you also see it inlaid into the back strip. You often see in these catalog guitars a decal, especially in the later years, into the late 20s, into the 30s when the Depression hit. They stopped doing the more expensive inlaid marquetry and just put decals on, but this is all inlaid marquetry. The neck is probably poplar, maybe basswood, and it's stained a reddish color that sort of goes with the guitar. You can see that the back and sides almost look like Brazilian rosewood, but it is actually faux Brazilian rosewood. This was a painting technique where they made this birch appear to be rosewood by graining it. Tuners look original to the guitar. These, again, you can tell these are sort of earlier tuners because they don't really have a screw to hold the gear on. They actually just have a rivet on there. And you see that in the earlier tuners. You also see it in the wartime too, the wartime tuners. The fingerboard is that ebonized maple. It's like a pressurized maple that's dyed black. Scale length on these grand concert guitars is 26.5 inches. So again, tuned down, they have a nice deep sound. As far as repairs, we did a neck set on this guitar a while ago. We actually got it back from a prior owner. And so a neck set was done by me on this guitar. And there appear to be no top cracks. The bridge was replaced, but we replaced it with a pyramid, Schmidt type pyramid bridge that we actually had here in the shop. So it's got a period appropriate bridge. As far as cracks, there are a few side cracks that are very thin, no really importance. The nut appears original. Frets are in good shape, typical frets of the time period, in good shape. They were dressed and leveled. And yeah, it's a nice clean guitar.